listening to A1R Psychic Radio, Earth's #1 psychic radio network, and watching Moonstruck TV, enlightening television. Welcome.
Time for Soul Star Radio with Jacqueline Close. Live from soulstar.media.
Connect direct. In North America, dial 888-454-2751. In London, 20-3519-2158. In Sydney, dial 02-8488-3147. Or online, contact us through our Facebook page, facebook.com/psychic radio.
Or one of our websites,
askoneradio.com or moonstruck.tv.
This is Soul Star Radio
on A1R, the Ask One Radio Network.
Hello, welcome to the show. This is Soul Star Radio, and we're coming to you live from the Reiki Cottage in Preston, Victoria, Australia. And good morning, afternoon, and evening, no matter where you are in the world. I'm joined by the wonderful Helen O'Connor, who's a Reiki master, amongst many other things. I know her from way back. She's a wonderful lady, and we're actually in her healing studio here. So I'd like to welcome you to the show, Helen.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
So tell me, we've sort of known each other like way back, but for people who haven't met you, and certainly introducing sort of watchers, viewers, listeners, telepathically listening people, about your sort of journey with Reiki and what Reiki is, but what sort of got you started on the healing journey?
Okay, so in October this year, and I'm very proud of this, it's going to be 30 years since I first learnt Reiki, and my life absolutely hit me on the head. I was teaching at the time. I taught in special ed. I taught kids with special needs, and I was looking for something. I'd done shiatsu, but I knew that there was something more for these hands. I'd been into psychic stuff and crystals, and I was the old hippie, getting into whatnot. But when I did Reiki, it was like, oh my God, this is what I'm here to do. And I resigned from teaching at the end of that year. That's coming up 30 years. And I started this journey. Now, back then, I was living with anxiety.
Yep.
I used alcohol to,
very common amongst sensitive people.
Yep. And Reiki just calmed me. And then I thought, I got a Reiki table and Reiki anyone who would let me Reiki them. And I began this journey. I actually spent 2 years volunteering for a complementary therapies group of people with HIV and AIDS. And that was like an amazing apprenticeship for me. And eventually became a teacher of Reiki. And then 23 years ago, moved to this property, which had a garage in the backyard. Yep. And I converted into what's now called the Reiki Cottage. And that's just turned 23 years.
That's beautiful.
So it's been a roller coaster journey, as anyone knows, when you commit to your spiritual journey.
Woohoo!
Whoa!
Things getting real.
So panic attacks started.
Yep.
I had counselling. Reiki helped. I learned tapping. I learned neuro-linguistic programming, and I've had clients over the years. I now see people all over the world for tapping. And people come to this little cottage in Preston for Reiki.
Yeah, beautiful. I remember you
gorgeous.
also did some quite a lot of Reiki on me at a sort of point there, and I remember my father turning up at the end of the table, and I went, hello, I think he's dead now.
There's been a few spirits in this cottage, I can tell you that now.
It was all like, that's how I know my dad's dead. He's just popped up at the end of the table, and we were telling him. So what sort of things, what's the most standout experience you've had with Reiki, maybe the most, satisfying, but also the most weird, like two different ones?
All right.
Yeah.
One, when talking about spirit and your father and my father, just after my dad died, I was doing a Reiki here, and the music started going on. And I just knew it was him. And I'm like, excuse me, do you mind? I'm doing a Reiki. With a client. With a client. I'm getting paid, so stop it. And so he did. And then another time, I thought, all right, I'm open for you to come. And he was a funny guy. He was a really funny guy, my dad. And I said, okay, you can show yourself if you'd like to. So within a minute, this bird came flying at the window, boom at the window, went down, shook himself off, and then just sat on the fence out there and just looked at me. And I just so knew it was him.
Yeah.
I've had, doing attunements for people for Reiki, their grandmothers and mothers who come in just like they have done for you. So, that's the weird stuff, I suppose. No, it's not weird, it's not weird
it's
to
weird.
it. Satisfying, oh my God, I'm actually, I love Reikiing pregnant women.
Yep.
And I Reiki'd a birth once.
Wow.
That was pretty amazing. And it was actually a water birth.
Oh.
And she didn't want to be touched at that stage, when you just hate everybody. And so I put my hands in the water and Reiki'd the water.
Yeah.
And that birth was just
easy,
amazing, gorgeous.
I remember once, my poor dear at the time partner, and he was like, he's doing this. He's going, don't worry, it'll be okay. I'm here. And he's actually doing this around my thumb. And the first time with the first birth, I'm like totally just putting up with that because I've got a lot of other stuff going on. And the birth was like, I don't know, an hour in the hospital because, that baby's coming on through. Yeah. It was like a football match. Yeah. Certainly the midwife sort of spoke about football references. But the second time around, it was like, I'm in charge now. And it was a 7-hour birth in the hospital. And they said, the doctor's not here yet. But, they showed me this crow-to-hook thing. And we're all, and I said, and I crossed my legs and went, you showed me the doctor, I'll show you a baby. But no doctor, no baby, so guess what you're doing? And but then he tried this thing, the partner. Don't worry, it'll be okay. Rubbing the thumbnail. And I just said, stop that. And then I said, give me your arm. And he couldn't use his arm or lift it for about a month after that. And so he thoroughly participated in the birth experience, but that's not quite Reiki, is it?
Not quite.
Not quite.
Well, both my children's births were Reiki. I had a Reiki person at the birth. So the pregnancies were Reiki, and I was 37 and 40 when I gave birth. Completely natural births, no.
Wow. Now that's amazing.
And my husband at the time for the second birth, actually, he did the Reiki, and he felt that baby receive the Reiki just as he was coming out. And it was, pretty, and he was a buffer.
Nothing quite like a kid with a big head, is there?
Yeah, so gorgeous now.
Yeah.
It was at 40, it was, it was painful, but I know the Reiki helped. And, I didn't need outside help.
So what we might do today is we're going to actually show you some Reiki. Don't worry, be with clothes on, there's no birthing happening.
Yes.
Although it could be a rebirthing. That's possible, but we're going to show you. Helen's going to explain the steps, and I'm going to lie down on this table there, so it's going to be a lot of fun. So you can take us through how it all happens and maybe explain what Reiki is while you're going along.
Sure. Yep. Okay. All right. So we'll just get you on the table. So if someone comes in for a Reiki, I'll do their client form, get some history. Hang on, I'm just going to put that towel. Yeah.
Probably should take my hat off. Yeah. Kind of handy. Yep.
All right. Yep. Go. Cover you up. Yeah, as you say, uncross those legs. She's defensive already.
Oh, I'm always doing that. It's the shield making me.
Oh, I know.
Sort of waiting for the next scalp.
Make it nice and warm.
Hi, Donna, by the way. Got to say hi, Donna. Yeah. And Daryl. And
nice and warm.
Everyone else. Yeah, I'm warm. I'll be fine.
Okay. So Reiki is a Japanese word for spiritual energy. And so when I place my hands on a person's body, their holistic being draws that energy through. So it's spiritual, it's physical, it's emotional, and it's mental. It goes to where it's needed. So it gives you what you need, not necessarily what you want. Oh, she's on. She's gone. And so, if you're working on an issue, perhaps, you might get some clarity. If you have a cold, it absolutely accelerates the body's innate ability to heal itself. If you're working on some spiritual stuff, it will help with that. Every Reiki is different.
So when did you start Reiki, and what's your lineage?
I learned with a beautiful woman whom I still see, called Valerie Ives. Her lineage comes through Phyllis Puramoto, who's the granddaughter of Takata, Hawaii Takata. So my lineage is Usui Hayashi, the naval officer, Hawaii Takata, who died in 1980 and who attuned 22 masters. Phyllis, her granddaughter. Marta Getty is a woman who lives in America, still alive. Valerie was one of two people who came to Australia. There was Beth Gray from America and Marta, and Valerie was one of those early Reiki teachers. And Valerie's now about 85, still see her, we still catch up. Gorgeous woman, she certainly doesn't look 85. And then I also, with the complementary therapies group, I worked with Denise Crundle, and I've worked with lots of people. I'm a member of the Australian Reiki Connection, so I've had colleagues and other teachers that, you know, in fellowship and
That's a really well-connected group around here, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is. There are lots of variations of Reiki. There's lots of offshoots and whatever.
That's just really rebranding and repackaging? Or?
It is, well, yes and no. With the advent of the internet, people went back to Japan and learned the sort of the true history of Usui. So I've also been trained in Japanese techniques. And so when I teach Reiki now, I brought it right back to its basics, which is coming in the 4 attunements over a weekend, hands-on healing, some meditation, the precepts, which are just for today. I let go of worry and anger. I'm humble and compassionate. I do my spiritual work and I show gratitude for everything. So we live by those principles. And what's the other thing? Oh, the symbols and mantras that you learn later on. Yeah. I tend to, if some Reiki people give messages, I tend to not do that. I prefer that people just go within and find their own messages.
I found that we had a lady started, I actually booked a Reiki with a lady once, and she says, "Oh my God, I don't normally get this stuff, but for some reason with you, I'm going to just tell you these messages," and you're like, no. And suddenly she was psychic, and I thought, is it catching? I'm not sure. And it's like, it is distracting.
Yeah, not how I operate. So I've thought about that a lot, and the intention for people who come here is that I'm not the guru. Make me the guru. I'll knock myself off as quickly as you can say, Jack Rabbit.
and that old word of, gee, you are you. It's a reflection of yourself.
Yeah.
So you're moving the hands there, like when you're moving the hands across the body, what are the reasons for those points for people who don't know? There are hand positions that we use. Some people scan the body and go to where they think it's needed. I actually just do the hand positions. And no, I totally trust that the Reiki's going to go to where it's needed. Yeah. So really, I could hold your big toe for an hour and you'd get the Reiki. That could be interesting.
It would, what's your big toe like?
Not so good. I've been running too much now. I'm in trouble with my podiatrist.
Would you like your feet to be? Have a little bit of Reiki. Can we get the camera on there?
Yes, we are.
All right,
there they are.
Let's do some tootsies.
This is quick.
Actually, I'll do your knees. Yeah, and your feet at the same time. Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely. Whoa, hello. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So do you find that when you're working on the feet, that brings people back into the body, or do you find that if they need to go off somewhere that they still go off? Or?
I tend to do the feet last to bring them back, to ground them. Yeah. So.
And people who think way too much like me sort of have to start up here somewhere.
I usually do start on the head, but for the purposes of today, we're just doing a little bit. And so it takes an hour. So I usually spend 5 minutes on 12 positions on the body. So a few places on the head, the heart, the stomach, the hips, knees, ankles, and the feet.
And also, do you find that, we've heard of distant Reiki and distant healing.
Yep.
How do we operate that for someone?
Well, if someone would like to receive, and I like to call it distance and absent Reiki.
Yeah.
So an absent Reiki for me, in my world, is when I sit down and send a Reiki to somebody across the world or in hospital or something. A distance Reiki is when I send Reiki back in time or forward in future. So because Reiki transcends all time and space, we can sit down on a Sunday and send Reiki to the dental appointment on Thursday.
Yep.
And it will kick in at that time.
You can also send Reiki to your boss's chair. Now that could be fun.
To your boss's what?
Boss's chair.
Yes.
Yeah, because if they're rather grumpy and, I'm sort of feeling like if they're feeling the love, is that something that you found people have done that has helped them? Or?
Absolutely. I used to teach in a school for kids in a juvenile detention centre.
Yeah.
So I had 12 kids locked up in a room, and if I went in the morning, this is just when I first learnt Reiki, because I do design after that, and I would throw the symbols up into the corners.
Yeah.
So I'd come in and the boards would be high as kites, just,
From the energy.
from the energy.
Not actually from drugs.
No. Although, a funny thing, I used to Reiki them a little bit, just a bit on their shoulders, and one kid said, "Oh, do what you do that thing you do, miss, better than 2 bongs."
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
So,
It's like getting on our high.
it is. It's a natural high. So, that answers the question.
Absolutely. I found once that I was doing healing to myself in all space and time.
Yes.
And I was flung back to a situation that happened when I was 3.5.
Yes.
But the funny thing was that when I was 3.5, I saw the older me come into that situation. So is that sort of...
That's quite well. With you, anything's possible.
God, yeah.
So, but it is true. You can go back and go back to those times when the rotten times in your past, and you can go and Reiki those and let go and heal that stuff.
Yeah. So it helps with that sort of calming. And Reiki, that can work, I find, with space clearing as well.
Yeah.
Like, how do you,
you can
recommend people do that?
Well, the way I teach it is I grab a piece of incense and I walk through my house and do the symbols. Like I Reiki the cottage before anyone comes. Like today, before you arrived, the cottage, I have a way of cleansing the cottage with the symbols.
Cool. Yeah. All right. We might sit up again.
Yeah.
And here we go. So that was fantastic. I sort of went zipping off pretty well straight away. So it's sort of the thing you'll find, and the reason why we did that so you could see it is those who are very sensitive would go, whoa, feeling that energy. So even if you're sort of new to Reiki, it's a transmission of the energy. You're bringing the universal energy down and through you, but it's through that attunement that gets done. So whereas with spiritual healing per se itself, there's no actual attunement. So this is where that's different. So what's the story of Mikao Yusui in a sort of a shortened version?
Okay, he was born in 1865. He was a businessman. He had 2 kids. He was married. He was into learning and psychic stuff. He was into psychic stuff. He decided in about 1920 or something to go and sit on the top of Mount Kurama outside of Kyoto, in Tokyo, for 21 days. And he said, I'll either be enlightened or I'll die.
Yep.
So off he went. He fasted for 21 days and he said a great light came upon him. And he was given the gift of Reiki. We say it was rediscovered because this has been going on forever.
Yeah.
This hands-on healing, I suppose. And he spent 4 years and then he died of a stroke at 62.
Wow.
Yeah.
But his sort of work was done, I guess.
His work was done,
okay.
And it was passed on through a few different people. There's a Japanese link and there's the Western link. So
did he ever work with the Tibetan symbols?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah, because you got people using the Japanese symbol and then people using these other symbols.
I don't know whether they've been brought. Look, I can't say. You know, that's where the different strains of Reiki have come in. People meditate and get stuff or think they get stuff or I tend to just...
I had a dream.
Yeah. So there's all sorts of different stories. You know, it's the nature of groups, isn't it?
It is. I think it's always better to go back to that original, and that's where with the Australian Reiki connection they're sort of saying, all right, well, you just need to teach the actual thing. And then anything you're doing different, back to the original, anything else you're doing, call it something else.
Absolutely.
And do that as the something else. But then if it's Reiki, it's Reiki.
Yeah. And say it's something, you know, if you just be very clear. You know, if you want to bring right down crystals into it, then say so. Yeah. But when you come here, you just have Reiki.
Yeah. I like the purity of that.
Yeah.
It's a lot quieter.
It is.
And focused. Yeah. Because when we sort of do too many things at once and go, woo, it's all a big one thing, and I'm just adding this and adding that and adding that, and it's, I don't mind, it's all just, no.
We do, after a Reiki often, we will, you know, pick a card. I've got some cards over there. But I always say it's not Reiki, but we're just having some fun. Yeah. If you don't like it, pick another one.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Cool. So, I like that. So well, let's have a look at the cards. We might do a card for all the viewers.
Oh, all right.
We'll pick a card for today for the viewers.
Let's see what...
She's got some good decks there.
I have some Crystal Oracle. I love Tony Salerno.
Yep.
So I have Magdalene, Crystal Oracle, or the Long Cards.
What do you reckon we'll go for the crystals? I think we'll go for the crystals, yeah. I think that'll speak the quickest to everyone. So this is from the Crystal Oracle.
Crystal Oracle. Tony Salerno is a guy who does beautiful artwork. He's a Reiki person in Melbourne. He's been around for a while, as long as I have.
I think he's been around as long as most of us have.
Yeah, so you can just have a little shuffle and choose one of those.
All right, folks out there.
I'll read it for you, for all of us.
For today. For healing, for everyone watching. In our times. Oh, there we go. As you're right.
As you're right. Okay. As you're right.
And it's interesting because it's got gold with quartz on the left-hand side, amethyst on the right, rose quartz at the very end, and the very start of the deck, of course, is aquamarine, my favourite stone. Really? But it's azurite we've got here today for everyone out there watching.
So the words are self-confidence, creativity, and expanding awareness. Believe in yourself, for you have the ability to materialise your dreams. Throughout the coming months, you will begin to expand your horizons and explore new possibilities for your life. You will realise that all you need in order to manifest your dreams is self-confidence. Believe in yourself and do not let anything stand in your way. Even if you are rejected, do not give up. For even rejection can serve to strengthen your resolve and character, provided you're ready for it. Expect it and see it as something you can learn from. Success is guaranteed provided you remain focused and confident. See every experience as a learning experience.
I rather like that one because we've literally just had that wonderful Cancer Capricorn eclipse and we're going through all these planets in retrograde, and so it's like very poignant. Plus, of course, Mercury.
Oh, yes.
So it's all about, hang on, try not to take things personally, but do actually deal with the issue. So spiritual bypassing, avoid that part. I'm liking the themes in there. It's been wonderful talking and catching up with you again.
Thank you.
And sharing the space with you.
Great fun.
Yeah, and if you want to find Helen, you can go onto the Soulstar Radio Facebook page on A1R Radio, and there's actually a link to our website. Meanwhile, there's going to be more shows this evening, afternoon and morning on A1R Radio and Moonstruck TV. It's going to be a lot of fun for you. There'll be live calls for readings. Today's been an educational show for us. In the meantime, I'm going to wish you the best. I'm going to be up at Deniliquin, so Denny Spiritual and Psychic Expo this weekend, and I look forward to catching up with people there. And in the meantime, going to catch up with the rest of you next week. Lots of love and light and happy times. Bye.
Bye.
listening to A1R Psychic Radio, Earth's #1 psychic radio network, and watching Moonstruck TV, Enlightening Television. Welcome. It's time for Creating an Inspired Life with Colleen Vanderzijde. Live from PsychicMediumColleen.com. Connect direct. In North America, dial 888-454-2751. In London, 20-3519-2158. In Sydney, dial 02-8488-3147. Or online, contact us through our Facebook page, facebook.com/Psychic Radio. Or one of our websites, AskOneRadio.com or Moonstruck.tv. This is Creating an Inspired Life on A1R, the Ask One Radio Network.
Hello, everyone. I'm Colleen Vanderzijde, and this is Creating an Inspired Life. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm so happy you're here with us, watching and listening. I am a medium, and as a medium, I connect in with our loved ones on the other side. And I'm also a certified life coach. And as a life coach, I help people basically handle their problems, figure out a way so they can live a more meaningful life, a happier life. And that's what I do most of the time. Today's coaching tip is all about living mindfully. The other day, I was at the grocery store and I put all my groceries in the car and then decided to return the cart to the cart corral. So I walked it over and then I came back to my car and pulled on the handle to get into the car. And I couldn't get into the car because it was locked. And I thought, well, that's strange because I was just here. I had just put everything in there. And then I realized I was at somebody else's car. Fortunately, they weren't sitting in it, but I was at somebody else's car. Many of us have had that experience, but this was more notable to me because I had just been at my car. I had been gone for approximately 30 seconds, and I was so distracted, I didn't go back to the same car. I wasn't paying any attention whatsoever. These days, being mindful is something that many of us strive for. We want to be mindful. We want to pay attention to what's happening in our lives, so we fully experience our lives. When we practice mindfulness, we become aware of our thoughts. We become aware of our surroundings. We pay attention to what's happening, and we pay attention to how we're feeling. This can help us reduce our stress, and it can also help us live a more enjoyable life right now in the present. When I tried to get into the wrong car, while laughable, and it was laughable, it was also a sign for me that I was not living mindfully. I was not paying attention. I was not in the present moment. I was talking to a client the other day, and the conversation kept returning to the past. She was very eager to explain why she felt the way she did, what had happened, what experience she had that were still influencing her. And while it's great to have an understanding of why you are the way you are, how these things have influenced you, it seemed like she was really stuck in the past. She wasn't paying attention to the now, to the present. No matter how much I tried to steer that conversation back to the present, we didn't stay. We kept going back to the past, and she had to keep talking about all of these things that had happened a long time ago. Living in the past or even worrying about the future can create negative emotions. We'll feel badly about our lives when nothing is actually wrong in the present moment. It's all something we've created in our thoughts, in our heads. And we'll feel badly about this if we're thinking about the past or the future. Living mindfully is a way to stay in the present, to move out of those thoughts of the past or the stuck emotions that we might get trapped into. The simplest way to live more mindfully is to pay attention to what is happening now. I know it sounds so simple, but how many of us do not pay attention to what is happening? You can pay attention while you're doing the dishes. You can notice the temperature of the water. You can pay attention to how you wash the dishes and where your mind goes. When we do mundane tasks, things that are easy, simple, routine habits, our mind tends to wander. We daydream. We can be driving somewhere and we're not consciously aware of our driving or even where we are, what our location is. I'm sure you've experienced arriving someplace and then realizing, I have no idea how I just got here. We're not being mindful in this situation. We're not getting the full experience of what we're doing. We're not getting the full experience of life. It's a habit for us to allow our mind to wander, and we can change that. We can instead consciously choose to pay attention, to direct our thoughts back to the future. No, the present, sorry, the present. I don't want to throw you off on that one. When we do that, we live mindfully. We reduce our stress and we'll feel more connected to ourselves. I went to a fitness coach a little while ago, trying to get back into my body a little bit. And she wanted me to pay attention to how my body felt while I exercised. And she wanted me to see if I could feel the muscles for each exercise so I would know what's happening. Exercising isn't usually fun for me, so I might try to distract myself, watch a movie, or just whatever, so I don't have to pay attention. But when I paid attention to what I was really feeling in my body, I was much more mindful of the experience. And rather than something to avoid, it felt right to listen to my body, to pay attention. I was reconnecting to myself. And it finally started to feel a little bit more meditative, where it was something where you're just in the moment, in the flow of things. Living mindfully takes a conscious decision to pay attention. You have to make the decision to do it. I don't think it's something we can do nonstop, but it's particularly effective when we're feeling worried or stressed or something's going on in our lives that we feel uncomfortable with. Maybe if we're thinking too much about the past or the future. And all you have to do is pay attention. That's it. And you can do a simple little exercise of just sitting for a minute and noticing things around you. Notice what your body feels like. Notice your surroundings. Notice what you're hearing, feeling, experiencing. Notice your thoughts. Notice your emotions. So you just pay attention. When I tried to get into the wrong car, even though it was the same color pretty much as my car, it didn't even look like my car. That was the only thing that was similar. It was the same color. I had a lot going on in my life then, and I was a bit overwhelmed with things, and I wasn't obviously paying attention to much at all. And it was further amplified, this thought, by a couple days before that, I was trying to get into my post office box and tried to get into somebody else's post office box. I was in the general area, but still the wrong box. And I wasn't living mindfully. And when these things came up and I noticed it, I tried to make a real point of paying attention. I used them as a sign that I needed to get back to the present, to pay attention to what's going on, to get out of these feelings of overwhelm and stress. When I was talking to my client, I emphasized the value of learning the lessons from the past, because we can learn a lot from those, but not letting the emotional reactions continue into the present, to let them go. I told her she had a choice as how she wanted to live. She could stay stuck in the past and the pain of the past. That's her choice if she wants to do that. But if she's ready to move on and have a happier life, a more meaningful life, being mindful is a more effective choice. And I told her one thing I used to do, or still do for that matter, is when I start worrying or getting stressed out or whatever, is I always say to myself things like, in this moment, everything is perfect. That takes me back to the present. It gets me mindful of what I'm really feeling, because in this moment, there is nothing wrong. Nothing is happening. So everything is fine. It takes me back here. So if you're experiencing stress, overwhelm, whatever it is, feeling worried, try being mindful. Start with the small things, doing the dishes, walking, cleaning, and driving your car. Or you can take that minute and just sit and notice your surroundings, the temperature, all those things, how you're feeling. When you do that, you get back into the present moment. And when you get back in the present moment, you're living mindfully and you're paying attention. And that will help you become more happy. You'll be less stressed and you'll be living a meaningful life, a life where you're paying attention to what you have. You don't want to waste your life by worrying about the past or the future or anything like that. You want to pay attention to the moment you have right now. And that is my coaching tip of the day. You can reach me at psychicmediumcolleen.com, as well as on Facebook, Colleen Vanderzijden, medium and intuitive life coach. And I would love to hear from you there. And we are going to go to our first caller, who is Lena from Puerto Rico. How are you, Lena?
I'm doing okay, and you?
I'm doing quite well, thank you. And how can I help you today?
I would like a reading.
Okay. Are you looking for more of a psychic reading or a mediumship reading? A mediumship reading is where I'm going to connect him with somebody on the other side.
Oh, either one. Doesn't matter.
Either one. Okay, good. Because I'm going to do a medium reading anyway for you. I have a gentleman who's stepping in, and when he was here in the physical, he strikes me as having passed in probably his 60s or 70s, but I feel his body as being on the older side. So even though he's 60 or 70, his body feels like it's a little bit beat up to me. Okay, he does feel like a father, grandfather kind of energy to me, and he seems to come through with not a whole lot of loving affection. Okay, do you have somebody like that on the other side?
My father.
Yeah. Was he also, because the way he's coming through, I don't feel him, like I said, being very loving, but I also feel him being rather strict and very much a disciplinarian. Was he very big on disciplining people?
Yes.
And was he also, because I also get the sensation of, some spanking and things like that. Was he also somebody who did that as well?
Yes.
Okay. And the reason I'm just asking about this kind of gradually as I get into this is because there is this sensation of him. He's given me the impression that when he was here, he did not particularly care for his life. I feel like it was very hard, very difficult. I feel like there wasn't much money. And I feel like he kind of took his frustrations out on his family members. Okay. So I feel a lot of anger that is misplaced. He directs it towards people who don't necessarily deserve it. And I do want to, the energies that are coming through now, I want to apologize to you for that. I feel as though, and I'm speaking as him right now, that I was unfair to you, that I was not there for you like a father should be. And so he's coming through and wanting to apologize to you. And he's telling me also that he's very proud of you because you have also had to work very hard to get the things you have in your life. And you've had to work very hard to be who you are. And even though when he's here in the physical, I realize he would not have been very encouraging with you. He would not have been supportive, those things. From the other side, there's a different energy. And I feel like I want to encourage you and tell you to keep going. Are you currently having some financial problems where you're concerned about having enough money?
Yes.
Okay. And the way he's showing that, okay, the way he's showing that to me, it gives me the impression that the money you get, it just goes out immediately. It just goes out right away. He also tells me that you're a hard worker. So it's not like you're lazy and not doing anything ever at all. He tells me you're a hard worker and you are trying to get more money. Are you doing that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good. Perfect. And as he's talking about that too, he's showing me a car. Is your car, number one, do you have a car?
Yes.
Okay. And is it working okay? Because I'm getting the impression it needs some work, that there's some issues here with the car.
Yes, there is.
Okay. And it seems to me, tell me if this is accurate, is it just kind of parked and you don't really drive it very much because it's either not working or it's not, it doesn't work well enough to drive?
It's still working.
Okay. Okay, good. Because I want to do some repairs on this. So I understand you don't have the money to really do this, but I also understand you do know somebody who can help you with the car. Is that true?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. And I don't know anything about cars, so I'm just going to say things and hope that it makes sense to you. I feel a connection. There's something that's not quite right with the pipes under the car, like that connects to the exhaust system. There's something about that. And there's something about a heat shield, okay? I don't even know if a car has a heat shield. So there you go. But there's something about this. So if it hasn't been lifted up or somebody hasn't gone under it to check it, I would recommend that it be checked just to see. Okay. It feels like it just needs to be adjusted. So that may make sense to whoever it is. So there's something about that. I don't know anything about cars, so it's really funny when they tell me something. I'm like, okay, I'll see what happens. But so that's what he's bringing through. And I feel that the sensation of him wanting to come through to help you, to make it easier for you. Okay. And I also, one more thing before I let you go, I'm also getting the sensation of you, boy, I'm not sure what this is. If you're helping other people,